Hello and welcome to Talking Europe. Now, voters under 30 account for roughly a sixth of Europe's electorate. That's an important group for political parties to win over in this EU election. Young people, though, are less likely to take part in European elections than older generations, and that makes them a prize for parties who know how to actually mobilize their votes. But 18 to 30-year-olds are not simply a demographic. Their choices are a bellwether of what the priorities of Europeans will look like in the future, whether on climate change, energy independence, and other such policies. Today we're going to discuss the youth vote in the election of June the 9th, and we'll address the crucial question of turnout, and not only as it relates to young people, but in the election in general. We can welcome Sylvie Matelli, director of the Jacques Delors Institute here in Paris. Welcome to you. And I'd also like to welcome Stuart Shaw, the pollster from Verian. Hello, Stuart.
Hello.
Welcome back. So, Sylvie Matelli, what's your sense of how young people are feeling about this EU election?
Well, I think it's interesting to remember what happened in 2019. The turnout increased, and it was caused by a more important vote from young people. And at that time, I think that EU proposals were directly connected to young one. It was the Green Pact and the idea that we have to fight against the climate change, etc., etc. Today, there is a sort of disconnection between young preoccupations and EU ones. When EU talk about war, about the economic difficulties, etc., etc., young are still motivated by climate change, by inclusion, and all that, I would say, positive topic.
Yeah.
And but what we have to take into account also is that between that two elections, we had the COVID. And we perfectly know COVID, yeah.
Yes.
And we perfectly know that today young people are still marked by that COVID time. And I think the EU, and there is a risk that the EU and EU leaders had lost young people. We will see in that election, but there is that risk.
Do you think the people who call themselves the most pro-EU, they're too technocratic, they don't connect with young voters? If you think of, for example, President Macron's speech at the Sorbonne, it was very heavy on policy. It wasn't that kind of direct connection with young people, right?
There is probably a disconnection. There is also the fact that we have in young generation a sort of competition between way and means to be politically involved. You have social media, and with social media you can connect with thousands of people in few seconds. You have also much more involvement on young people in association, NGOs.
Let's go to the man with the numbers, Stuart Shaw, because obviously you've looked at what young people are interested in, who they actually vote for. And I want to play this tweet that you recently published, which says that the image of the EU is very fragile. 50% of Europeans aged 15 to 24, and 49% of 25 to 34-year-olds have a positive image of the EU, and then young French people are even more critical than the sort of general European figure. So why don't you unpack all of that for us?
Yes, when we talk about the interest about this election, we can see that there's a real difference between the young French people and the rest of Europe. In France, between only 30 and 40% of young people under 25 years old are interested about the European election, and it's a difference almost 20 points with the European level. So it's a big difference. In my point of view, we have several explanations for this. Firstly, we know that young French people are not very informed about the European politics. They don't know how it works, and we can imagine, because it's very complicated. There is a lot of institutions, a lot of roles. So it's very complicated to understand how European Union politics can impact your daily life.
Whereas in other countries, they're more informed in the same age group.
Yes.
That's what you're...
Yes, but also we can say that, and we can see on our survey that a third of young French people said never ever follow European Union. So it's very important to note this point. And above all, and I think I very agree with what you said, because if you want to reach out young people and to motivate young people to vote, you need to talk about her priority topics like climate change, like combat against the poverty. And I don't know, all this campaign in France, especially, talk about these subjects.
And when you came up with those figures about people in France that have a low image of the European Union, does that explain why the far right, the National Rally, has so much steam in the opinion polls right now?
I'm not sure, but what we can say is young people don't believe that politics can change things, and I think that is the problem, because they think that democracy is a problem and not the solution. But we need to prove to these young people that the European level, with the European level, we are more effective for meet our challenges. And we have a lot of examples: crisis COVID, the Green Deals, the COVID package. So we need to prove to the young people that European Union can change your daily life.
And what about the far right in France, Sylvie Matelli?
Young people are more and more convinced by that arguments. But what is difficult is that in reality, the propositions done by the far right party are not totally clear, and I'm not sure that they will help young people to come back to much more optimism, in the future.
Let's move on to another area, because I wanted to get both of your thoughts on the very different voting ages in Europe, how that affects the dynamics of this election and the turnout across the board. Let's say we can see some quite different situations. So in Greece, you have a voting age of 17. In Austria, it's 16, so that's very young. Most countries, though, it's still 18 years old there. You can see the blue is 18, but most. But what do you make of this patchwork, Stuart?
I don't know. I'm not sure that lowering the voting age is a solution. Maybe it's a short solution, because the main problem is that the young, like I said, young people need to understand how European Union can change things on their lives, how European Union can help us to overcome our challenges, like public health, combat against the poverty. So I think if you force to vote the people, you don't overcome the challenge of convince them that politics can change your life.
So are you referring to Belgium there, because
Yes.
it's a compulsory vote?
Yes.
And we don't see what do you see as the trend when it's compulsory?
I think in Belgium it's a good example, but I'm not sure that all the young Belgians are very convinced about the politics, about their power. So you can lowering your age, you can force people to vote, but you need to reach out and to motivate young people to believe in politics. That's the challenge. And just if I had something, it's paradoxical, because the first value for the young people in France and the rest of Europe is democracy.
Yeah. Sylvie Matelli, would you be in favor of compulsory votes, or rather trying to incentivize people by lowering the voting age? What do you think is the answer?
Well, that's difficult, because even when you must vote, there is nothing to sanction you in reality. I think the two arguments that push some countries to lower the age to vote, where the first one were the consequences of the increase in turnout in 2019, and the idea that young people went to vote, and then that may be interesting to increase the part of young people that can vote. And the second argument was probably that the idea that early voting may provide opportunities for young people to involve in a political engagement, you know, and if you give the opportunity to involve when you are young, then you will keep that people as strong, as important voters.
Yeah,
then.
so you give them a sort of
Yeah,
habit,
yeah,
you create
yeah,
habits.
clearly.
We'll have to end it there. Thank you so much, both of you, Stuart Shaw and Sylvie Matelli, for your great insights. You've been watching Talking Europe.